sometimes we can do people a disservice when we help too much, when we make it too easy. Because our job, especially our job as practitioners, is to see the perfection, to see the ability in people, not to demean them. What else am I going to talk about? Oh, Murphy. It was time to plow the fields, and Murphy's plow broke. So he said, oh, well, go borrow McGonaghy's plow. McGonaghy lived about 5 miles away, so Murphy started the walk over to McGonaghy's house. As he walked, he said, gee, I hope you'll lend me that. Last year and he's got a new plow, and I know his wife's a little, she might not lend him out, and she can be real crabby, that wife he is. Remember that time in the pub last week when he was so snarly and up? You know, he might not even lend me his plow. And he went on and on and on with this for 5 miles, and finally he knocked on McGonaghy's door and he says, you can take your damn plow and tell your wife, you know what, I think of her too. But how do we do that? How often do we do that? We create a reality in our mind by worrying it to death, by expecting the worst. That's how God works. God works that way. A donkey fell in a well, an abandoned well. I think we else heard this one. Donkey falls in the well. Farmer calls all his friends together and says, my donkey's fallen in the well. And they look down and say, I think he's toast. He's an old donkey anyway. Thing to do is just fill in the well. So they all got their shovels and they started throwing shovels of dirt into the well. Went on for about an hour and a half, and suddenly they heard, hee-haw! And the donkey's head's emerging out of the well. See, with every step of dirt they threw in, he took a step up. That's how God works. Use those shovelfuls of dirt in your life to take a step up, to rise up above. An old woman was dying on her deathbed. She called her husband to her. And she said, you know that shoebox up on the top shelf of my cupboard? That's the only rule I've had in 60 years of marriage, is that you weren't to touch that shoebox. Bring it to me now. So the husband brings her the shoebox and she opens it. And in the shoebox, there's $45,000 in cash and 2 crocheted doilies. And the husband said, what is this? And she said, you know, the day we were married 60 years ago, my favorite auntie gave me some advice. She said, if ever you get angry with your husband, before you speak, take a few minutes, go sit down, crochet a doily, think about it, and then come back. And the old man was just moved to tears that in 60 years, he said, I've only annoyed you twice? 2 doilies? And then he said, what's the $45,000? That's the money I got for selling the doilies. What good advice, isn't that? Take a few minutes, go crochet. There was a traveler traveling on the road and went by a monk. And he said to the monk, what's this next village that I'm coming to? What's it like there? The monk said to him, what's the village you just came from like? And the traveler said, oh, not nice. The weather's terrible, the economy's awful, the people are not friendly. The monk said, I suspect that is what you'll find at the next village. Put 5 monkeys in a cage, hang a banana at the top of the cage, put a set of steps in the cage. First time the monkey starts to climb the stairs to grab the banana, you spray all the monkeys with cold water. Next time a monkey tries to climb the steps to grab the banana, you spray all the monkeys with cold water. You take one of the monkeys out, you put in a fresh monkey. When he starts to climb the steps, all the other monkeys will natter at him and won't let him take the banana, right? He'll abandon the search. Take another monkey out, put another fresh monkey in. When that monkey starts to climb the steps towards the banana, all the other monkeys will turn on him, including that first monkey that was not sprayed with water. When you finally replaced all the monkeys one at a time, you'll have 5 monkeys that have not had the experience of being sprayed with water, but none of them will ever dare start to climb those stairs. Because that's the way we always do it around here. Ever seen that? A man in a hot air balloon got lost. And he was over a road and he saw another man by his car down there. So he released some air and lowered himself down and shouted down to the man. He said, "Can you tell me where I am?" The man said, "You're in a hot air balloon about 30 feet above this road." The man in the balloon said, "You must be in information technology." The other guy says, "Well, how do you know that?" "Because everything you say is technically true, but of absolutely no use whatsoever to me." So the man on the ground yells up, "Well, you must be in business." "Well, how do you know that?" "Because you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going, and you expect me to fix it up for you. You're in the same place you always were, only now it's my fault." That's what some of us do with God, right? Now it's your fault, God, that I got here. I love the fact that Corey's a laugh professional. Okay, so here's my final little story. This is a transcript of a dialogue between the Americans and the Canadians at sea. Americans. "Please change course 15 degrees north to avoid collision." Canadians. "Cannot do that. Please change course 15 degrees south." Americans. "This is the captain. Request, say again, you change 15 degrees north." Canadians. "Say again, cannot do that. Change course 15 degrees south." Americans. "Demand you change course 15 degrees north." Canadians. "Cannot do that. You change 15 degrees south." Americans. "This is the captain of the USS Abraham Lincoln, second largest aircraft carrier in the U.S. fleet. We are accompanied by 3 cruisers, 4 destroyers, and 22 supply ships. Request change course 15 degrees north." Canadians. "We are lighthouse. Your call." Sometimes, despite all this power we have to work with God, to use God, to create our own reality, sometimes some things are just too solidly in place for us to be spending all that time on it. So the trick, the balance is to know when to change course. When to change course. Because sometimes it feels like God is saying no to our prayers. And sometimes God knows better. And sometimes there's all sorts of underlying jibber-jabber that goes along with our prayers that's making it difficult for our prayer to come through. So that's how God works. Sometimes God answers our prayers immediately and visibly and logically the way we expect. And sometimes maybe God's got a better idea.